Hi everybody, Sandra here. Today I'm doing a project which is a mix of HTV and card. I'm actually making a gift tote, but I wanted to put a really fancy design on the back and the front. And I did actually cut it from glitter paper, but the trouble is, a very fine design means you have to put a fair amount of effort, I suppose, into gluing it tidily, unless you have double-sided adhesive sheets, which I didn't have. But also, if your mat is sticky enough to hang on to the paper, the chances are it's going to be a real pain to try and get it off your mat as well. As I discovered, I managed it, but it was not an easy process, but I'll show you the result later. So I have a design here, and I think I might actually do this in two ways. Now I've cut it from an HTV, and don't ask me what brand it is because I have absolutely no idea. Just some relatively cheap stuff I bought online a long time ago and I haven't got around to using. So I'm weaving this piece out, and I'll continue filming while I'm weeding because some people like to see people weeding. Personally, not something I would watch, but a lot of people like it. They find it very satisfying. It's quite satisfying to do it, especially when it happens to come out cleanly. But I can't say it's one of those things that I would normally watch. So I did eventually do two versions of this pattern. I did one that was really very fine lines, which was a bit of a pain for weeding. I mean, it weeded okay in an HTV, but if you were going to cut it from paper or card or whatever, no, not really something that you'd enjoy. So I've done two versions. This one is the thicker version. I will show you the other version as well later on. And I also have a handy little tip that you probably have never seen before. It's just the way my mind works. But I think I've come across a solution to a problem that might affect quite a lot of people. Keep listening and watching for that. I won't disclose it while I'm doing the weeding, so if you want to skip the weeding, go ahead and go to a later point in the video. I apologise if you can hear dogs in the background. I don't have any dogs, but some of our, well, most of our neighbours do, and it sounds a bit like the homes of the Baskervilles around here at the moment. Nothing much I can do about that, I'm afraid. Now this may be cheapy vinyl, but it definitely weeds okay as long as it's cut properly. As you can see, I'm getting some pretty fine detail out of this. And give me those bits. Actually, what I ought to do is take that off of my mat and put it somewhere else, because otherwise I'm just going to drop bits on my mat anyway. Take this out. So out of curiosity, how many of you actually use HTV for craft projects other than textiles? It's just an interesting thought. I mean, normally it wouldn't have occurred to me, I don't think. I mean, largely because I don't have an awful lot of HTV, and I tend to save things I don't have much of, which I know is silly, but I think it's inbuilt. This thrift gene, I think, is inbuilt to a certain extent. You tend to save special things for special items, and then you never end up using them because you don't have the occasion to use them. Silly, completely loopy, I know. But I do wonder how many people put HTV on card, because I was a bit wary, I have to confess, because obviously you have to heat it. And I wasn't sure if it would be a problem. Now, one thing that I did find was that my little craft iron is not a good idea to use on projects which are bigger than its base. And the reason for that is because it would appear that if you do that, you end up with warping, because parts of the card has been heated and other parts of it has not. Oops, that jumped out. So I did find that the best way to cope with it was a quick going over with my normal domestic iron, which gets very little use because I'm not into ironing. I have much better things to do with my time than iron, unless of course it's for a craft project. In that case, I will happily do it, but the rest of the time, no, not if I can help it. I have the odd friend who likes ironing. Well, I say the odd, in the true sense of the word. Why would anyone like ironing? I suppose it's satisfying seeing things flatten out. What annoys me about ironing is having to do it repeatedly. So many years of doing my husband's shirts and things, and I really don't want to iron if I can help it. It's always very satisfying when you see the pattern emerge in these sorts of things. So we're nearly done. Now the other side, I thought I would remove the lines and leave the little bits. I don't know if that's going to work really well or not, but I thought, well, I'll try it and see, and then you'll have a choice. You can look at my design and see, do I like it that way or do I like it the other way? I'm going to put them on the same box, but I'll put one version on the back and the other version on the front. One thing I do like about weeding HTV is it's not sticky when you take it off. So you don't get it all over your fingers, all over your clothes, find it attached to the floor. Bearing in mind we have tiled floors here, and if something gets on the tiled floor, it sticks. If you're carpet or something, it probably doesn't stick as much because of the fibres. On tile floors, yeah, it sticks. Which is what it's supposed to do, of course, but not where you want it to stick. And there we go, that is the last piece of that one. And that's looking pretty good. I thought this might be a Valentine box. I have to keep it quiet. I thought I might get something nice for hubby and put it in there. So this one I'm going to take out this bit. I have my two pieces for the back and the front. I've also got, excuse the beepings, my iron. I've also got a decor strip for the handle, and I managed to find the big piece that was missing just there. So I'm quite happy that I found that. If you are using a blade to score, make sure that you fold towards your score lines and don't fold it the other way. It will look a lot neater, but it does mean that you put your right side of the card down on your mat. So if you've got a really sticky mat, it's not going to be working very well, and I suggest you either manually score or put a score tool in your holder rather than a blade. I'm going to do this one first because it's got those little bits in it which I am worried that will get lost. And just go over this for a few seconds to get it to stick down. Now what I'm going to do before I do that, because I'm doing this with a glitter substance, and glitter does not glue well particularly, and this is for handle, I'm going to take off the last bit of that. There we go. Just remove those two pieces because it'll be very difficult to stick it onto the bag with that in place. So I need to line this up so it's in the middle. I'd have thought about it, I would have shortened it. But when I designed it, I sort of thought I was going to be cutting it in card or paper, so it wouldn't have made any difference. There we go. So here's the first one. Oh, that is pretty. There we go. I don't think you can fault that really. I mean, considering. That's come out really nicely. It's a lovely look. Let's see what this is like. Again, a lovely look. I don't know which I prefer. Which do you prefer? Leave a comment down below. I'm almost inclined to say I prefer that one, which is strange because I thought I would probably prefer that. And now we have our strap. There we go. A nice bit of sparkle on that. And it adds a little bit of strength to it as well. And all you have to do is to overlap tab here and make sure that that line there is straight with that one. And this one, fold down there. Again, if it looks slightly out, you've got room to adjust. You can stick the glue on that tab, have that straight over like that. Make sure you get it well stuck before you move it. Now these tabs go in and these tabs go over. Now I have done this quite deliberately so that these two pieces overlap, because it's easier if you get one side done first, then do the next side, and then you've got something for this flap to secure to. Whereas if you try and do a flap which is all the completed size of the base, it's a little more difficult to get it lined up properly. Now if you have difficulty getting anything lined up, what I suggest you do is grab a box, because you've most probably got a box of some description in your craft room, and put it to the side so that when you're putting this together, you can say, right, okay, that's snug against that, that's going to be nice and square. So I'm just going to put some glue on this side first, like so. Pinch that shut. If you make sure one side is well and truly stuck before you do the rest and it's in the right place, it's a lot easier to get the rest to follow suit, believe me. And as you can see, even just doing that, you will get the rest of them folded down nicely. You can put a fine line of glue in there. Stick that down, grip, and then it will be so much easier to get the other side stuck down. So I can glue on here, or even double-sided tape if you want to, but I tend to prefer glue because I found this glue in particular is quite strong stuff and will hold. Now I have a valuable tool in my craft room. Well, I've got a couple actually. I've got some long-handled brushes, so I can use those to tamp down. I've even got things like chopsticks, which again I use for similar things, just to apply some pressure. It has a design which is centered like that. So if you make sure that your handle is upright, again get one side stuck before you do the other one. Center that one. There we are. So we have our gift box, or our gift tote, whichever you like to call it, and I think that's really quite nice. However, I do have one tiny little thing to do. I created a bow design. So again, you just want to make sure that your paper or your card is a little flexed. So it's not entirely straight. And then put some glue on the tab and put it to the middle. Do the same with the other side. I may not be able to glue this because it is, after all, glitter paper. On odd occasion, you get a project where something doesn't quite cut through everywhere, and it doesn't matter how well you do test cut. Sometimes something interferes, maybe a tiny little piece comes loose and it gets stuck on the blade, etc. And sometimes it's just the tiniest amount that's stuck, and it's really, really difficult to get at. So I decided to have a look and see what I had that might actually hold one of our blades. Now this is a blade which I bought online. I think I had 15 of them plus a blade holder for about 12 euros or something. So cheap and cheerful. And I picked up a propelling pencil today. So open it up, pop that in until it's almost down to the end of the thicker piece of the metal, and lo and behold, I now have a very, very fine scalpel. So this is actually a 60-degree blade I've put in there, but I could put in a 30 blade, I could put in a 45 blade, whatever. But it means that should I have an area which isn't thoroughly cut, I can hand cut it with extreme precision. If I use that, I can actually cut it and weed it all in one go. And because it has such a very tiny blade, you can do curved lines or straight ones. And lo and behold, you'll be able to put a lot of wrongs right with something like that. Now do be careful, it is a sharp blade and you do not want to poke yourself with it. I was looking for a pen lid because I thought I had one around, but I've probably thrown it out in a clear out recently. But I found this pen collar. It was one of those things that is around a pen, and lo and behold, that goes on there really nicely. It fits really, really well. And it's going to keep me safe from that blade when it's stored. Excellent. I originally was going to put it in this one, but then I thought, well, actually I used that one, so I went to get another one. I couldn't get one as nice as this. This one is much better made. It's a nice metal one. It's quite heavy. This one's very, very light. But there again, also being light, maybe that's a plus if you have to do much. So if you don't happen to have scalpels around and you want to do some fine cutting, this might well do the job. And I only had to pay €1.20 for the propelling pencil body, and I got lids with that as well. So it wasn't exactly expensive. So there we go. A little tip for you. So hopefully this is now heated. Not that I can tell because I need to put another glue stick in because my hubby borrowed it and he used some of the glue. There we are. And so a little dollop on there. Dollop of glue there. That's done. And then we have the tail, which I'll actually put the glue on here and then put the bow over the top. Be handy if I make sure it's the right way up. There we go. One, little bow ready to go. Now which side am I going to put it on? That one or that one? Oh, I think it's got to be that side. And I'm going to put the glue on the back of the bow rather than risk getting over the rest of my bag. And we're all done. So I think that will make a rather nice Valentine's gift bag. I just have to find some small treats to put in it. I will leave a link to the file below. Please leave some comments here if you've enjoyed this and if you intend to download the file. YouTube runs on likes and subscriptions and all the rest of it. And I don't make money out of this channel. I do it simply because I enjoy it. So the more people get to find out about it, the more people can get freebies. Thanks for watching. Take care now.